We are all still getting our act together here. However, I'm going to try and bring up our agenda. Bear with me for 1 second. Oh, for crying out loud. Do you have the agenda up, Sarah? Oh, you do? I would love a paper copy. I would love it, yeah.
Here, I'll take one. Why not? Do you want one, Lisa?
Sure, actually, I can take notes right on.
Perfect. Thanks. Sorry, Tom.
And I'm just, while we're getting our act together, I'll just say, Trudy Onsorg, our past vice chair, had sent us a postcard.
Oh, she's thinking of us.
Yeah, so Trudy and her husband are now living in North Carolina, and I thought that's really cool that they sent that.
Sweet.
Okay, I gotta get a pen. Okay, called the meeting to order at 6:30. Now we'll go to roll call. So Sarah Lang, would you please take the roll?
Sure. Tom Sonic,
Here?
Amanda Black,
Here.
Harry Netto,
Here.
Stacy Maher,
Present.
Emily Haig Nguyen, absent, Lisa Ritchie,
Here.
C. Yang,
Here.
Lisa Wong.
Here.
Perfect.
And Sarah Lang, our commission secretary. And I'll say that Emily Nguyen is on excused absence. She just had a baby recently, right? Right? I mean, I haven't heard
Do you
any.
know what it is?
I mean, I assume she did, otherwise she's really overdue, right?
So we haven't heard.
I haven't heard anything. We'll have to check
to
in with
ask
her on that. Okay, so, and before we, while we're on the roll call, I would just like to welcome our 2 new members to the commission. So we have, as of the last city council meeting, or it was the last one in December maybe, we had approved our 2 new members because the council had previously approved our increasing our commission membership to 7 instead of 5. And so I want to heartily welcome Amanda Black here on the end. Amanda, appreciate you being here, and we'd like to hear a little bit from you, and also Lisa Ritchie, who had been our commission secretary, and has now taken a job outside of the city of North St. Paul, but has come to join us as a commission member, so we're happy to have both of you here. Amanda. Emily is not here. Amanda, would you like to just say a little bit about who you are and what got you interested in being on the Arts Commission?
Oh, I'm Amanda Black. I have lived in North St. Paul for about 6 years now. I actually didn't know about the Arts and Culture Commission until you were looking for new commission members, so that's why I joined. I am a working artist, actually working out of my home here in North St. Paul.
What do you specialize in?
I do printmaking.
I think we may be neighbors.
Oh,
You work out in your driveway occasionally,
yes,
and you have 2 children.
yes.
Yes, we are neighbors.
Well, if that's not interesting
Oh!
and creepy, like,
No.
2 people in North St. Paul who
I mean, lovely, wonderful, nice.
Yes, yes. Husband Ron?
Ron.
Ron, yes. Okay, yep.
I thought I noticed that on your applications. I'm like, Burke Avenue. I'm like, they look really close.
Off the record, we hadn't been this formal until more recently. Usually we sit in
Yeah.
the side room and,
Yeah.
and kid around together. So.
Kid around, we're just professionally televised now. It used to be
Yeah.
just on Zoom.
Yeah. Well, I don't see you up close very often, so.
Yeah. And so Amanda, you had mentioned to me that you do lots of these kind of art fairs in the summer, or maybe 3 seasons of the year where you're displaying and selling your own artwork. Is that
Yeah,
right?
so through the summer, I do a lot of art festivals. I'll do 2 or 3 a month. And
Okay.
then I usually take a break in the fall a little bit, maybe do 1 or 2 in the fall total, but then November and December really picks up for holidays.
Gotcha, yeah. That's great. Well, welcome aboard. We're
Thank you.
really happy to have you here. We actually have a real artist on the commission now. And Lisa, anything you want to say? I mean, most of us know you very well.
You do know
Um,
very well. Just very happy to be on board as a commissioner. We're continue to work with you guys. We've got a lot of fun things in the works, and I look forward to see them come to fruition.
Good. Yes, we certainly do have a lot of things in the works, and so we'll be getting to that tonight. So I'm going to move to our next item here, which is to adopt the agenda. So if everyone has had a chance to look through the agenda, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as it is listed.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Carrie, second from Stacy. Any discussion about this? Any concerns, any changes? Okay, so all those in favor of adopting the agenda as is, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Adopt as agended. Okay, approval of minutes from 12:07. As everyone had a chance to take a look at the minutes, if there's anything you'd like to add, change, or discuss, otherwise I will entertain a motion to approve adoption of the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Stacy and Karen just holding it all together.
Oh, that was Lisa
That was
Ritchie.
Lisa.
I was cheering
Lisa.
for her.
Oh, sorry.
It's your turn. You have to
Good.
do
There
it.
you go, Lisa.
Oh, sorry, Derek.
Welcome to the action.
Let me rephrase.
Making
I second that motion.
I second that emotion. If you feel like giving. Oh, sorry. All right. All right. So we have a first and a motion and a second. Any discussion about the minutes? If not, all those in favor of approving the minutes as is, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Meeting open to the public. There's nobody here. Moving on. Public hearings. We have no public hearings. So we're moving into our commission business action items and recommendation. We have on here election of officers, and I think maybe that was just discussion that we've already had, Sarah.
Chair and vice chair reelection has to happen once a year.
Oh, does it really?
Yes.
I did not know that.
Ooh, Tom, watch out.
Wow, okay, I wasn't, so we have to renominate and vote for our chair and our vice chair again?
Yep.
Okay, well, let's start with the chair. Would anyone like to make a motion to elect the chair of the Arts and Culture Commission?
I'd like to elect Tom.
Anyone?
Seconded.
Second, okay. All right, we have a first and a second to elect me as the chair again. Any discussion?
How do you feel about that?
Yeah, do you still
Mr.
want to do that,
Sonic?
Tom?
I'm all in.
All right.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. No. I'll go with it. No, I appreciate that. Thank you. And now we're in the business of electing a vice chair. And I would like to nominate Carrie Nadeau for this position.
I second.
Second by C. All right. We have a first and a second to nominate Carrie again as vice chair. Any discussion?
How do you
Carrie?
feel about that?
Great.
Great,
Fantastic.
okay.
Can't wait.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carrie,
I'd
welcome.
like to thank the Academy
Yes,
and all my friends here today.
I think it was the Hollywood Foreign Press you should talk about. All right, okay, well, anything else we have to do there, Sarah? Okay, well, I didn't realize we had to do that, so thanks for keeping us in line. Subcommittee creation, so this is something I want to talk about kind of along with item C, item D, and maybe F. But maybe I'd kind of like to move B, C, and D together. So I will tell you that our vice chair and I met a couple of weeks ago to talk about activating some of this work that we're doing a little bit more. It is, as we have learned since we started about, a year and a half ago, maybe was it? That it's really challenging for us to keep projects moving when we meet once a month. So what were some things that we could do to try and keep things rolling a lot more in between meetings? One of the things that we were hampered by, we felt over the last 18 months, was by only having a 5-member committee or commission, we couldn't really have subgroups that were working on projects in between meetings that were larger than 2 people, because we would violate the open meeting law. So to try and help with that, and really to try and help us stay fully staffed and have enough people to do all the work that we want to do, that was one of the reasons why we asked the council to allow us to add 2 more commissioners to the overall commission. So, because as you can see, in our first, year of existence, we lost 2 of our original members that had to be replaced. And then we're always missing people for various different reasons. People are out on, on maternity leave, or they're out sick, or they have other things going on. So it can be a real challenge to try and keep some of these projects going. As our commission secretary, Lisa Ritchie, really did a lot to keep a lot of our projects going in between our meetings, and so we're really appreciative of that. And now we have you on the commission, so now we can just make you work all the time as well, Lisa, so you just don't get paid for it anymore.
I'll be recruiting to help me.
Yeah. But anyway, so what I wanted to do, if it's okay with everyone, you should have printed out in front of you a Work Improvement A3. This is a tool that I've been using for a number of years now. And those of you who have been with us from the beginning, that I kind of get into these A3 documents, and an A3 is just an 11 by 17 sheet of paper. That's what it is. So it's a tool that's, an A3 is a tool that's commonly used in lean management systems. But really, it's getting everyone literally and figuratively on the same page. And so we use A3s in different ways. We use them for problem solving. This group did put a lot of time when we were first forming to create a directional A3, which I would like us to revisit again at some point. But that was to really say, who are we? What are we about? What are we trying to accomplish here? And I thought that was a worthwhile exercise, even though we haven't returned to that document a lot and gotten into that. But I think we could do that and should do that again at some point. But there are other tools that we use for A3s. Some of them are process maps. So we have a process A3. We had started building one of those in our first year. And all these tools, the A3s, all are meant to work together. And the improvement plan A3 is really a way to activate the work that needs to be done. Typically it's to improve a situation from how it is, and for us, I guess you could call it improvement. We're improving the artistic and cultural experience, I guess, for North St. Paul residents, so this is giving us a way to help make that happen. So really what you do, if you want to look at your document here, there's across the top, we're just talking about the North St. Paul Arts and Culture Commission. First started putting this together on January 8th, and we can update it each time as we go through this. But I'm hoping this could be a tool that's used for us when we meet to update, and if we have initiative leaders or project leaders, they can help just update where we're at on these different things. So rather than take our brief time once a month in these meetings to try and do the brainstorming and think about what are all the little things that need to be done on a project, we're hoping that we can have sub-teams that are working in between the meetings to help further these projects. So down along the left side, when you look on that left column, this is kind of like a charter document. Really what we're trying to do here is say, what's the current state? What's happening right now? So when you see current state headlines, I took a stab at filling some of these things in. I'd like to talk with all of you about how you feel about this and what are some other headlines that we might add to this. Down below that are future state goals. So what do we want to have happen, like, by the end of this year? You know, this plan could be our 2023 plan. Sometimes you can do these plans that are 6 months, they can be 3 months, it depends what interval of time you want to look at. But I think for us, we're kind of thinking about it as an annual season. But we can change that as well. And so then everything to the right of that is really talking about, okay, so what are the big projects, the key initiatives? And then what are the steps that need to happen, the big steps that need to happen to deliver those initiatives? So we're really looking to try and get this stuff done this year. You know, these are the things that we've been talking about. We really want to make progress and get them done. So what's it going to take to do that? Any thoughts or questions about this so far?
I have a general question.
Yeah.
Is the goal to create more art in the community for residents, or to also create like a desire to visit the city from outside?
Well, that's a good question, and I wish I had an easier access to our smart sheet. And Amanda, I will have to take some time separately with you. We can talk through some of the work that's been done in the past. But anyone want to offer up some commentary for Amanda on that? Like, how would you view that question?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, it's that
Yeah.
simple.
Yeah,
It's all of it.
and that's a valid answer.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, you know, there are certainly, you know, things that you'll see on this plan, like our Project Snowy. Why are we doing this thing? Well, you know, I think there are numerous reasons, but not the least of which is that it will draw people to our city, we believe. And so, you know, there's a reason we're partnering with the Business Association and business owners on this to try and get this project done, because we think that it's one of these things that it draws traffic. It brings people here. And there are a lot of proud North St. Paul residents, you know, people who are proud of this town. And whether they've been here for 4 years, 40 years, or 4 generations. I think people really value the history of this town. They value what it is, what it used to be, and what it's becoming as well. And so we want to invest in the city artistically and culturally, because we believe there's a whole side to this city that exists that really has not had a lot of representation lately. You know, you go to a lot of different towns, and Amanda, I assume you've traveled around and been to towns, like, and you see there's sculptures out on the sidewalk in the downtown area or in the parks, or there's murals painted on the sides of buildings or in these public spaces, or whatever it is. So they have festivals, they have these different things going on.
Yeah.
And you say, why can't we have that? And the answer is we can. It just takes people who are willing to take the time and make it happen. And that's what we are. So,
Well said, Tom.
long answer, but yeah, so it's to bring people here, but it's also for our own civic pride, I
Right.
would say, too.
The city is excited about the work we've done too, even in the parade, the, like, taking Snowy through the crowds. Everyone was like, like they were, and those are mostly local people at the parade that show up from the neighborhood and walk up to Main Street. And it was a lot of fun to see firsthand the reactions, young and old. It didn't matter.
That was fun.
More so from adults than children.
Anything else? How would you feel about diving into this process with me?
Love it.
I've done this 1,000 times. I love doing this type of work. It's what I do for a living. But I would, and I've done this type of work in lots of different venues, and it makes sense. It works for people. So you can feel free to write all over your page whatever you want to do, and we'll kind of take notes as we go. But so this improvement area, this is the North St. Paul Arts and Culture Commission. So it's improving within the work that we do and what we produce for the city. So the purpose here is to develop forms of artistic and cultural expression in North St. Paul. And I didn't go back and check our mission statement, but I think it's pretty clear, pretty close to that. Do you know, Sarah? Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head. Yeah, I probably had it memorized for about 15 minutes at one point. So what I want to talk about is current state headlines, and this is really a chance to reset. I'm a big New Year's type of person, not like New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, but the idea of renewal and starting over again, it always hits me in January. I always am like, you know what? I'm going to straighten out my act, and I'm going to, here are my plans. My wife and I, in January, we sit down, and we have an Excel spreadsheet, and we say, what are our goals for this year? What do we want to do? And it's always stuff we got to do to the house. So it's like, we got to fix that door, and we got to, change the backyard with, so it's a lot of that stuff. But we say, we work together and try and get it on paper. What do we want to try and accomplish? And I think that January is a great time to do that kind of thing. And so I think that's where we're at too. It's like, so everything that's happened before is what has happened before, and there's nothing we can do to change it. It is what it is. And so what we want to do with these current state headlines is just say, okay, so where are we at? If you were reading the newspaper, what would be the big headlines that would come out about Arts and Culture Commission? And so some of the things I threw out there was that we had a fairly successful year in 2022, including the creation and programming of the Art Cart and a partnership with Parks on the Fall Frolic. And then I was thinking, what else did we do last year? We got one Snowy made, and that's on number 3. So timing, supplier issues, and funding concerns affected Project Snowy. This was one of the things that we were looking at to be a big thing we wanted to accomplish in 2022. We didn't get where we wanted to get with that project, but we got one of those dang Snowies made, and it's sitting right outside this building. And not to mention, did we figure out a lot of other things? We learned a lot of other things, didn't we?
I think we realized how important legalities are.
Yeah,
As far as operating as a public
yeah.
commission. Because that kind of intertwined itself into it stalled us out a bit,
Yeah.
I think.
So I think that, I
Yeah.
think that's even kind of a headline for this group, is that we learned about, how we work within, state law and, other legal requirements or whatever. I don't know what's the best way to state that, but we learned a lot. The number 2, I mentioned this earlier, we had membership changes, so 2 of our original ACC commissioners left us. We have a new city liaison. That's what I called Sarah. I didn't know it was a commission secretary. And we've increased our commissioner total to 7, so we now have 7 versus 5 where we started. The Project Snowy thing, the Love Ice Cream mural project was something that I was really hoping to get done last year, but that was hampered by cost and artist availability. The artist that the Love Ice Cream really wanted to go with ended up getting tied up with creating a music video for Ringo Starr, of all things. But he was here over the holidays, and he's always kind of last minute about things. He said, "Hey, I'm down at Max right now. Come on down." I'm like, "I'm not even in North St. Paul right now." And I said, "But if you're down at Max, go up the street and say hi to Susanna and Ilya at Love Ice Cream. Go introduce yourself." And he did. So he talked to them about, so hopefully we can get something done there. But, I think, so that was hampered by cost and artist availability. How do we bring up the funds? Because we're learning about limitations with working with private businesses. And so all of this, I think, was some good learning that happened.
I think another headline was our partnership with the Business Association.
Oh, yeah.
That was new.
So how would you state that? Like, we,
Expanded our reach by partnering with the Business Association.
perfect, expanded our reach.
And as I remember, that was one of our goals initially.
It's certainly in our
Not
Direction
necessarily
A3 to,
Business
yeah.
association, but just different organizations.
What else?
Is it lame to say we had fun?
No.
We had lots of fun. Yeah, I wish I had a quick connection to that original sheet that Trudy had created.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things on there that we got through as far as,
The smart sheet?
Yeah, the smart sheet with our, which has our,
I think we still have it.
oh, yeah. In our directional A3, and that direction A3 is something that we can just print out on paper as well, once we're a little more up to date with that. What else? What were the other takeaways from the last year?
Well, I think we made some really good inroads with the other commissions. We went to all of their other meetings and connected with them.
Great one, okay.
I think we had surprising visitors that we would have never anticipated, like
Yeah.
Rotary.
the Rotary Club and the veterans
right.
folks, and then the traveling art show thing, not traveling art show, that's student art
Compass?
Compass. Yeah, they came and chatted with
It's
us.
Compass with one S, right?
Correct.
Yeah. What else? Anything else? Is that kind of, so we had a fairly successful year, including creation and programming of the art cart in partnership with Parks on Fall Frolic. Membership changes, increased our commissioner total to 7. Timing, supplier issues, and funding concerns affected Project Snowy, pushing it to this year, although we did get one made. The Love Ice Cream mural project was put on hold due to cost and artist stuff. We learned a lot about funding, legal, expanded our reach by connecting with the Business Association. We had a lot of fun. We made inroads with other commissions. And we had, we learned from visitors that came that had projects that they wanted our help with, right? Or potential partnership with, like the Rotary, Veterans Park, and Compass.
I think we ended 2022 relatively strong with some strategic purchasing as well and planning for 2023 events.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, we're looking at 2022, but we really started, what, August of 2021? And we really did a lot of work those first couple of months with that mission statement and that
did, yeah.
PowerPoint and everything else. I mean, I don't think I've ever been on a group that worked that quickly to put a mission statement together. So that was really energizing.
Yeah, and we'll have to resurrect that Direction A3. My own taste is I'd like to get it out of Smartsheet. I think it got to, I mean,
Too
the
much?
Smartsheet is fine, but it got so dense with everything attached to it. It's like we just need to have and I can't remember where we ended with where we can store our documents. And Sarah, I don't know if you know the answer. So if we have shared documents among us as a group, where can they be housed?
That's a good
Carrie,
question.
Carrie said we could use a Google Drive. We just have to make sure it's available if someone wants to look at it or whatever.
That's right. I mean, it has to
Yeah.
be I don't know if it has to be always accessible by the public or just at data request.
No, just a data request.
Yeah. So, so maybe we have, Sarah, could you maybe take an action item on that? Just, I think we need to revisit that and where do we keep our own documents?
Definitely.
Is it on Civic Clerk? Is it something else? And I'm frankly still struggle with the Civic Clerk. I gotta figure that out. Anyway, okay, and ended year strong with, say that again, Stacy, like our funds or
We
like.
did some
fund-
strategic purchasing with our allotted budget
Okay.
to help us launch programming in 2023.
In particular, like how we prepped resources for the art cart, that thing, the paint and sip.
The paint and sip easels and canvases and paintbrushes and
Yep.
et cetera.
So Lisa R., you're ready to go.
I'm ready if you are.
We got all this stuff for you.
We'll have to talk, though. I reviewed the timing on it, and what size did you say the canvases are? 16 by 20? Yes. Okay. I'll just make a long story short, and I did a group, an 8 by 8 painting, and it took them an hour and a half, so we'll have to.
Need bigger brushes.
Yep.
Make it a 2-hour event. You got this.
You you gotta just be more like what's the guy with the afro?
That does the.
Bob Ross?
Bob Ross.
Bob Ross.
It's those big brushes. Okay. Okay, so let's move on then. I think this is good. We have a really healthy current state headlines. It really tells us a lot about where we've been and where we're at right now. So now let's talk about future state goals. Some of this is kind of big. You know, the purpose is for this to be kind of broad because then we will have our specific initiatives to the right here that will help us deliver those things. So I have a more visible presence of art in North St. Paul public spaces. So really, what that idea is like, that there is public art existing around the city. So that's one of the goals that I see for us, you know, whether that's murals, sculptures, snowies, whatever. Established pipelines for grants and funding. So just as a reminder for everybody, it was kind of funny how we got going with our first big project that we were working on. Project Snowy was a project that we certainly ran into some speed bumps as far as the funding of that thing, but that is also a project that is so unique in the funding as it is, and we may never do another project like that that will be funded that way. By and large, the work that we do is going to be funded by budget allocation from the city council on an annual basis, or by grants that we receive through any agency that exists out there, of which there are many. You know, so there is a lot of money that exists out there in the universe for arts groups in Minnesota.
I have a question about that. Does anybody know if, when we're applying for these grants, do we have to have a specific project
I think it helps,
that
yeah.
we're working on? Okay.
Yeah.
So that's been my limited experience so far, Lisa. I don't have a lot of experience, but when I was trying to write for the grant last year for, I don't know what, if it was for murals or whatever, I thought, oh, this is great. They just have an online application. All I have to do is fill in all the boxes and we're good to go. Well, then you start getting to the boxes and they say, well, what exactly are you trying to do? And I'm like, well, you know, stuff. You know, and I think we were really putting the cart before the horse. It's like, well, just give us a bunch of money and we'll figure out what we're going to do. And they're like, we'd rather have you tell us exactly what you plan to do, and then we'll see if we'll give you money. Right?
There are some funding instruments that are just for like actual, you know, general expenses. But
Yeah.
I think we'd be more successful with ideas and then going forward for grants.
Agreed. And I think that's something that all of us need to think about as we're working on projects, you know, like the better that we can scope out our project. What exactly is it that we're trying to do? And then if there is funding that we need to procure, we can go forward and say, we're really clear on what we're trying to accomplish here. So the clearer you can be up front in telling your story, the more successful you'll be in life in general, right? But especially with this stuff too. And I think another thing we were running into, I was pushing to try and get a mural done on private property. And that's got obstacles too, you know. So when it's really public space and you, that type of thing, I think their doors will open up better, I hope. The third thing is broad involvement in ACC activities, student commissioners and volunteers. And what I was trying to get at there, like what I would like to see us is to continue to kind of build our bench, you know, sort of, or build, you know, have a healthy group of people who are go-to people that we would use for things like art cart volunteers or or fall frolic volunteers, that type of thing. People that we can call on, people that want to be involved in these types of activities, and as well as our student commissioner plan that we have as well.
Art champions.
Art champions, there you go, I like it. That's exactly right, see. And then fourth, I have established routine programming of arts and culture activities for residents. And so we have some of these things in the works already, but I love the idea, if we could get to a point where people throughout the city start to expect it. It's like, yep, we know the art cart is coming, it's gonna be at the Music in the Parks, it's gonna be at whatever, and so we're going to bring our kids there. We don't have to read the newsletter, we know it's coming, and we're gonna go and do it. We know what that big orange truck is, right, that thing. So we're gonna go and check that out. Or the paint and sip, or whatever, you know, to get to this point where we're kind of routine in our programming. So that's what I had so far, but I want to hear also, what are your thoughts? What do you hope for us to try and accomplish this year?
Are you open to logistical feedback at all?
Sure.
I would love if we could leverage subcommittees to improve our efficiency during our monthly meetings.
Oh, well, we're going to get to that.
I know.
You're right,
I know.
yeah.
Well, but as of, like, and I want to be explicit about that as a goal. We have all dedicated a lot of time the last year and a half and done a lot of work. And I would love to see chairs in this room with actual public people in it. And if we can be more succinct when we're here
Yep.
and involve the public, I think it'll be more engaging for our residents and community to show up and, and hopefully maybe become involved more. I don't know.
Leverage some subcommittees to make monthly meetings more efficient. Is that right?
Well, I heard two things. I heard leveraging our efforts and involving the public. So it sounds like you have a couple of goals there, Stacy.
Well, having like seats, like people here, having more involvement and
Increase,
I have a few really big stuffed animals.
for the notes.
Stacy, increased public involvement at meetings?
Yeah.
Okay.
Could we expand that even more? Like, I was thinking about, like, involving the public even more on, say, like, voting on the art that we want to put on XYZ electrical box or something. You know, like, just involving the public a little bit.
Yep.
And celebrating, maybe doing like, like being explicit about inviting a group in our community that's doing something artistic and saying like, thank you for coming. We just want to give you this certificate of appreciation because we appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's low cost, but saying, like, they can walk away saying, we were recognized by the North St. Paul Arts and Culture Commission.
Well, expanding on that, even with volunteers, something that, like a swag bag, if volunteers get a T-shirt,
Yeah.
they love it, right?
So, so there's two, I hear two things in there, so like branding and recognition. You know, I think we had a line item for some branding things in our budget. And Lisa, do you recall where we ended with our budget? I thought it was 12,000, but
Yeah, it's 12,000.
it's 12,000,
Yep.
okay.
Also, as the artist, I want to ask what the culture items would be coming forward, as a lot of this looks like art items.
Good point, yep. So I'm gonna put brand and recognition. And I'd say the clearest cultural expression that we had was pretty dang cool at the Fall Frolic. We had a traditional Mexican dance group from high school, from Two Rivers High School. We had traditional Indian dance. We had a solo singer-songwriter, and we had the North High School theater and choir people who came and did some songs from their upcoming show, as well as some other solo songs. So I thought that was pretty cool. Cool, especially because it was about 20 degrees outside at the fall. It was cold. But I thought that was neat, and you know, some more cultural side of things, you're saying, Amanda?
Well, all of our key initiatives are very art-focused.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and art is also cultural.
Yes.
But I think, are you thinking more like performing arts related?
Was just thinking, where's the culture?
Yep. And I think the art is part of the culture. I think some of the snowies could be an expression of culture. I think murals could certainly be an expression of culture. So could utility boxes. All that, you know, it all could. Culture's a loaded word, you know. It means a lot of things. But if I'm picking up what you're putting down, we want to have an expression of the varied cultures that exist within the city already. And, you know, and how do we see that and experience that? And so I think there are a lot of ways that it can happen, but I think it's a fair point.
So maybe say something more like diversity and inclusivity as, I mean, you know, like just to continue to have that
Yeah.
as
Yeah,
a focus throughout for all projects that we're working through.
Or arts that's reflective of the cultures that are in our community.
And for me, culture could be anything from heritage within the community to the history of the city.
Yeah.
yeah, I agree, yeah. Okay.
I think there may be opportunities as well to include maybe cultural education or include, you know, some sort of like food. I mean, there are so many things that can come out of partnerships as well. When we think about culture and, yeah.
So I wonder if there's a way that we could state this as a goal that, you know, maybe one of the things that we're trying to achieve, because I think it's probably not one thing, right? It doesn't exist in any one of these projects. It could exist in all of them, potentially. But maybe it's just keeping that idea of the expression of culture in mind as we go through all these projects. And then how that's expressed could be any number of ways. You know, so again, if we partner with Parks again, and it's the Fall Frolic, or it's a summer thing, or whatever it is, you know, part of it can be that we have an art fair, and part of it can also be the food. Part of it could be, you know, performance. Part of it could be, you know, all those things.
Do we have a list of local cultural groups in our community? Because I feel like it might be nice to invite them to a meeting to share cultural significant type events or ideas with us instead of us trying to create that.
Yeah, that's a good point, yeah.
I don't know of any lists. It's something that would have to be created.
We have a list that we've been working on in regards to the community center for engagement, and there aren't a lot, but I can see if we can pull that list up. I only know of the African Wellness Initiative that's on, I believe, Holloway, but other than that, I'm not quite sure.
That's a start. You know, send an invitation and say, we'd like to hear from your group and what's important to you. If there's a cultural event, an annual something that we can help lift up and
I believe part of their work is community education, and then also they host conferences as well.
So I got a second action item there, Sarah, to try and, that's something that we can have maybe as an ongoing list of, you know, what are some of these groups that exist? Because I think, you know, there is the one that we worked with, Carrie, I thought that you help me with that one, but it was a woman who's at the school district 62, whose husband teaches at Two Rivers, who brought the Mexican dance group.
Yep.
And I think I don't know if there is, if there is a dance group at North as well?
Yeah, I think they hadn't gotten started yet, or there was some reason they couldn't
Okay.
participate, but there are a number of cultural affinity groups within the district, so they have a Hmong group and a,
So that's a
Yeah.
great place to start.
Yep.
Is in the school district for some of those.
There is another organization called Merrick Inc. Here in North St. Paul, and they work with adults living with disabilities. They've participated in creating masks for staff and frontline workers here at North St. Paul during COVID.
what was the name again?
Merrick Inc.
Merrick, Merrick?
Yeah, and there is a Merrick nonprofit on Arcade, but they're different.
Got it.
Okay. So just to move ahead here now we're going to move into the kind of activating all this stuff. So we talked about, where are we at right now, where, some of these things that we've done and some of the things that we've learned and, what brings us to current state at this point. And now, we have a lot of good goals here, a lot of things that we want to do. So what I've got here, if you look at the column that says key initiatives, I can't count by letters, but 1, 2, 3. So there's 6 different projects in there that we have listed that were things that have already been on our list of things to do, right? And here is where, if you look to the right across, so if you go across, so Project Snowy is Initiative A. And these are just some planned steps, high-level steps that I threw out there as things that need to happen to deliver on Project Snowy. One is build a buyer group, so who are the people that are going to buy these statues? 2 is executing a call for artists. 3 is define artist selection and complete a timeline. 4, define programming. There might be other major steps involved in this, and then there will be lots of little steps involved. So you just kind of keep breaking it down like you're doing an outline form, right? The next one is murals, the mural project, or whatever that will be called. Define the scope. What exactly are we trying to do? Write a project plan, build the funding sources, execute call for artists, define artist selection, completion timeline. Again, it's pretty high level, pretty general stuff. These things can change. It doesn't have to be like that. But just trying to show, how do you eat an elephant? Each one of these is like an elephant, and it's one bite at a time. So we're trying to just break it down into bite-sized chunks to figure out how we can move forward. Utility boxes, same thing. Define the scope, select and gain approval of sites, define artist selection, complete the timeline, blah, blah, blah. Art cart and paint and sip, kind of similar in some ways. Schedule dates and venues, find volunteers, develop programming, et cetera. Does this make sense, how we're going with that? So this is where I'd like to see if we can't start to build some subgroups who can start to activate on these between meetings. And I'm going to just throw some things out there based on how some of this work has been happening already. But I see that we have like 3 kind of unique projects, that they're finite in the sense that these aren't going to be going on forever. That's Snowy, the utility boxes, and the murals. Then we have these ongoing projects, which are the art cart, paint and sip, and the art fart. See, Lisa Wong, I wouldn't let you get through a meeting without me saying something inappropriate. The art festival with parks. So I'd like to see if we couldn't build some sub-teams, and so then each of us sub-teams can start to try and take some action in between meetings to move these things forward, or that we can have people who are sort of taking ownership of these projects in between time. How do y'all feel about that? Groovy. Great. So let's start with Project Snowy. And I'm going to put people on the spot, but Stacy and C, you have already done a lot of work in this area, And I wanted to see if the two of you would be willing to kind of take the lead on this project.
That would be fine, although I would say like Stacy might have more expertise than I do. All I did was just some paperwork.
No, you did a great job. I don't have any more expertise than anyone else up here, really.
Well, Stacy, I'm glad you brought that up, because you're absolutely right. I mean, we're all just kind of like, I don't know, we want to do some stuff. We're all trying to figure this stuff out, you know? So just and a word to the wise, you know, if you bring up an idea, remember, you're in a group of volunteers. So if you bring up an idea, you're going to do it. But keep the ideas coming. So Stacy and C, would you like to kind of take the lead on that and start moving with next steps? And then that way we don't have to sit here every meeting. We have 6 of these projects that we want to try and do this year. If we try and sort through all the details once a month when we meet, we'll never make progress, which is something we've already learned. Yeah, and we could there could be one more person from the commission on this group as well.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful, because I feel like Project Snowy is kind of,
Huge.
yeah.
Yep.
I also think we should add to our cadence that whatever work we come up with, our best practice should be to send it to the city before our meeting for review and feedback, so that we don't get held up by that when we meet to discuss, because that also was kind of some roadblocks last time.
Say a little bit more about that. What do you mean?
Like for programming, like Carrie Urbanbach had a lot of input, and Soren had a lot of input, and
Oh, so you mean,
all
so
of these
like if there are
things.
things, like
Yeah.
documents or something like that?
prior
send them
review
to-
and
yeah,
approval,
that's a
but
great
doesn't
idea.
necessarily need to be like, that doesn't mean it's the final. This is your draft for review, so that we can then bring this to the commission and move it forward.
Absolutely, that's a great point, Stacy. I think so, so say if you and C and somebody else are working on something, and you come up with an idea for something, and you're like, well, let's rewrite the flyer, right? For the project, and you want, so you don't have to wait till we have an Arts Commission meeting for it to be reviewed. You can send it to Sarah to have it be reviewed, and then we have final review at our meeting, and we're good, we're on the way.
That already has the city's feedback incorporated into it. so
Right.
we don't have to wait.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. And then the murals, this is something that has been, kind of near and dear to me for a while now, so I would like to take the lead on that. And Carrie, we also want to work on that one. And so we see, Carrie and I have talked about this, we see this as being kind of a broader project, so like, might there be several locations throughout the city that could be addressed? So public spaces, so really trying to scope this out as a clean, clear, kind of broader project to try and garner some funding, gain some funding for this thing. And then working with, so then there could be all kinds of ideas, like how do we do a call for artists? Is it for each one of these things? Is it for, is there money in our own budget that we could use to get one of them done so that we could get some traction and kind of get going? Whatever, how do we want to move forward with that? So lots of things to figure out from there.
Yep.
But Carrie and I will take the lead on that one. The utility boxes, so we have some time on this one, and I honestly, I don't think this is as big of a project. I was actually considering Emily for this one. Though she's not here, but it's something that she could do from home. There might be a lot of work that she could do from home to try and, check things out. I've done some of the work on this already. Other people have done some work on it, but I've been in communication with Roddy's Bar about doing it outside there. I've been in communication with the Historical Society about getting pictures that can be used. I'm blanking on her name right now, at Roddy's.
Oh, I don't know.
Kelly Jonas, the owner of Roddy's, she said she's very, very much wants to be involved in the decision-making of what the art is that's used there, but thinks it would be a great idea to use some sort of historical pictures, and we think there's like just a wealth of historical things that we could get from the Historical Society.
So is the program for utility boxes to use historical imagery only?
No, no. That was just a potential idea for something downtown. So, and I can't remember, I think it was in the packet last time. I had put together a document that just said, from some of the analysis that I'd done, my analysis of looking at Google Images, was that it kind of broke down into three major types. There were like historical things, there were nature things, and then there were art things, So whether it was like sort of a mosaic type thing, or a painting, or even an existing, like a Van Gogh or something like that, But so you have these artistic things, you have nature, just pictures of nature, really trying to mask a utility box in that way, I think, or the historical things. And I like all of them, so I think the idea here is, what could we do?
Depending on how many are identified, each box could have a theme. So it could be like student art, and we could do a contest with student artists.
For
It could
sure,
be-
could be.
It could be a historical piece that the community votes on. It could be
Cultural piece.
a cultural piece. It could be resident art.
And Emily, if you're watching this meeting, this is what you need to figure out and come, no. No. So, exactly, but that's, whoever this subcommittee, is there anyone who's interested in taking this as a project?
Potentially as well.
Yeah, see, maybe, okay. So, I think this is a great project. I think it's kind of fun, and I think it's pretty easy to move forward, and the money's already there waiting for it. So I think this is one we can get done in the spring, because first of all, we have to wait till it's warmer before they can do these things. But I think we can knock this out in the spring, and I think it would be pretty cool to have some of these things done, especially on Main Street before the car shows start. So people are starting to see these things pop.
See, if you want to run drafts off between meetings too, you can send drafts my way for like a second look, or like, I'm happy to help.
I can as well. I've got more time now.
Oh, good. Yeah, so how many commissions are you liaising now?
One.
Yay! Yes, that's good. I'm happy for you, Lisa. Okay, so C, kind of tentatively taking the lead, maybe with Emily on this one?
Yeah.
Okay, and again, it doesn't mean that it's just you or just you and Emily, but the main thing is, it can be you, Emily, and me, or it could be me and Lisa W., because Lisa W. doesn't count against the open meeting law. So, but Lisa W. said she's interested, so I'm putting your name down there, Lisa W. But it doesn't mean other people can't be involved, but we just can't have more than 3 commissioners involved, meeting and communicating between the meetings.
Can those 3 commissioners reach out to another commissioner and ask them to do something? Or is that violation?
It's just meetings that there can't be more than 3, right?
And communicate.
It's, and, yeah, so it's kind
So
of,
we can't have a party?
we can have a party.
Has to be recorded?
Well, you just can't talk about any business.
Right.
That we're doing, right?
Yeah, and it
Lisa
has
looks
to be
hesitant on
posted
that.
that, that it's not an official meeting. So we have to know ahead of time, yeah.
The kegger in Amanda's garage is not an official arts and culture.
And the after party at our house.
Yeah, right, right.
You just
Well,
use the
now we know
vacant
where it
lot.
can be, is on, party will be on Burke Avenue. I think we can, I think we just have to, we've done it before, so I think, we've thought about doing it before. Miss you, Trudy. Anyway, but we can figure those things out. Art Cart, does anyone want to take ownership of that?
I would be happy to do that.
I was hoping so, Lisa R. Anyone else want to work with Lisa on Art Cart?
I can.
Amanda? Yeah. Great. So at least two. And then Paint and Sip, Lisa R., I'm looking at you again on this one. Okay. And I'm looking at you, Amanda Black, on this one, too.
Okay.
I hope the two of you will like each other.
And if not, we're in trouble.
Oh, actually, maybe this or not, but because Amanda, I think you would be great for item F.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking I would come up there.
Yeah. So I want to put your name there. So anyone else want to work on Paint and Sip? But I know, Amanda, we talked when you interviewed for this, that you know people who could help, lead some of those Paint and Sip events.
The Paint and Sip, I'm not sure how many people I know about that.
Okay.
I know artists who do workshops, but it's not necessarily like a follow along with my painting kind of thing.
I see. Okay. Okay, so in the meantime, then, Lisa R., if you want to kind of take the lead on moving that forward. Sure. So here is just, if you look to the right then, so this is, I'm loving this. I think this is really going to help us, and it really gets to, what you had talked about earlier, Stacy, about, what was the, I know I wrote this down somewhere. Oh, leverage subcommittees to make monthly meetings more efficient. That's what all this is about. Because it helps us get the stuff done. So if you look to the right there, so like Lisa Ritchie on Art Cart, so what are the dates? Where we want to do it? How do we build that group of people, a stable of volunteers that we can have who can work on these things? And what will the things be? And we could, I think this is something that you could knock out pretty easily. I mean, then once it gets to doing it, then we have to make sure we have the people in place and all that stuff. But creating a plan for it is something that can be done in between these meetings. Same thing with the Paint and Sip then too, right? It's just kind of that same process repeated. When you boil it down, there are really only a handful of archetypal processes that exist in the universe. Things just always kind of go through this flow, right? And so it's like, you start by saying, okay, what is it we're trying to do? And then to figure out the details, and then write it down and make the plan, put things on the calendar, reach out to the people, whatever it is, So we're gonna find ourselves repeating a similar pattern over and over to get these things done, I think. Except for Project Snowy, I don't think that has a pattern.
Chaos.
It does, really, but it's just, we've hit some road bumps. Okay. So what we've got then, Project Snowy, Stacy and C, taking some next steps between now and our next meeting to figure out what are we going to do about that? What's it going to be? What's it going to look like? Mural project, Carrie and myself, we've already set up some meeting times, although today was going to be one of our meetings.
Here we are.
And then the utility boxes. C, do you want to take the lead on that then? And maybe even,
Yeah.
do you want to reach out to Emily and see what her availability is, or?
Yeah, I'll see how active she wants to be
Yeah.
between now and when she
Okay, that'd be great. So when the baby's napping or something, she can be Googling images.
The man. Sorry.
What? She could be what?
The mothers up here are saying that when the baby naps, she's not going to be working on
She's not gonna be working on
AC&C.
Google Images, no. She's sleeping too.
I could help with that if you need help, see. I'll just throw my hat out there.
Yeah, and,
I know we got
I
Lisa
said I
as
could help
well,
too.
Oh, you were
Okay.
gonna help too? Okay.
Yeah, it's
We all want to do utility boxes.
yeah, utility boxes, I think is gonna be a slam dunk, honestly. I don't wanna get too, I don't wanna jinx it or anything, but that one's a lot more straightforward.
Right?
The money is already there. There are people that do this. It's finding what is the art that you want to use and going out. So see, we could also connect, I can get you Kelly Jonas's information or share those emails. So we got, so C, Emily possibly, and Lisa Wong, utility boxes, and Stacy, you were on that one as well, right?
Can I be, though, with open meeting laws?
She's not.
Lisa
Not
Wong
voting.
doesn't
You
count, so.
don't count?
No.
I count you, Lisa.
Does anyone else want to be a third on Project Snowy?
Bueller? Where's Terry when you need him?
So,
Nominate Terry.
yeah, I know, right? You know, so I'm thinking here, Amanda, this would actually be a good way to get your feet wet, if you're interested, just because, you know, I'm thinking like the call for artist part and things like that. How do we go about doing those types of things? I mean, we've done it once already, but we didn't get a ton of response. But just a good way to get your feet wet, because the Arts Festival thing, I think, is, it's gonna be down the road here, and, as well as the art cart.
Sure.
And there's just not gonna be as much work that's needed between meetings on that one. So if you're interested, I think that'd be a good way, we could have a three-person team, you know, taking care of business on that one.
We're nice.
Yes. And then murals, anybody wanna,
I'm interested in that
Okay.
one, if we need an additional body.
okay? So, but I think it's good just for us to be really clear up front, so that there's three. You know, so we have kind of, we identified two people out of the gate for each of these, but, so if there is a third that's used, this is who that third person is, so that we're not breaking any rules,
Yep.
right?
I was thinking I could maybe do some research on the grant writing.
Great. But we'll, so Carrie, we're gonna meet in 2 weeks then, right?
Yep.
So oh, that was a question we had too for you, Sarah. So Lisa, if you want to join us, our intention was that if we have our commission meeting the first Wednesday of the month, that we would meet the second and fourth Wednesdays to work on the project in between meetings.
Okay, I'm not sure if I'm gonna be available for all of those.
Okay.
Maybe 3 times, or twice in addition to this, okay.
Yeah.
I could maybe do some work
But these could be totally flexible. Yeah, and, you know, we,
and just keep you in
yeah,
the loop on.
yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yep, mhm.
But then your question for Sarah was, can we meet here?
Yes, that was a question for you, is there space here for
Yeah, I can reserve some.
subgroup meetings,
some
or
space.
like one of the rooms downstairs or
Yes.
up here, I guess?
Yep, should be able to do that.
Okay.
Yep.
Just to have a workspace. I mean, he could meet at Caribou too, or whatever, it doesn't matter, but. Okay, so utility boxes were loaded up there. Art cart, I think, you know, I think 2 is good.
Yeah, I agree.
Amanda and Lisa. And then paint and sip, we didn't have even a second there. Anyone want to join Lisa on that one?
All right, me.
What?
Me, I would love to.
Oh, did you say that already, Carrie?
Carrie would.
Okay,
So on that note, I would like to propose that we host something at Casey Lake on February 9th, because then we can do a Valentine's Day theme, if that's available.
oh, okay, yeah, because that would be something that we would have to we'd have to decide that now, because
Yeah,
our
we'll
next
have
meeting.
one more meeting, but there's,
It's
On February
too tight,
1st.
yeah.
yeah, so I'd like to present to you what I'm thinking of doing and the
Yep.
logistics on it, and then you can.
Fabulous.
let me know
But
what
we
you
can,
think.
but I think we'd basically have to decide today whether we're going to do that.
Yes.
Yep, okay, that's good point. Okay, so, so that would be February 9th, paint and sip. So we're going to have to talk about some of the specifics on that, like, not the least of which is the issues around alcohol.
As long as they bring their own.
Right, so we're not providing, if, you know, alcohol is allowed in city parks. If people choose to bring a bottle of wine and crack it open while they're painting, that's their prerogative, right?
Maybe just cite that code in the announcement, like.
Yeah, there's,
This
so
is just the
So
rules.
if there's some documentation that you want to have published, which again, I think Lisa would have to be available prior to our next meeting.
Yep.
Because you want more time than just 8 days, I guess, then? for people to know about that? Is that what it would be? So,
Our next
Okay.
meeting is February 1st.
is it? Okay.
Well, maybe we should move it out to March, because we wanna get the news out there so that we get at least a few people to sign up.
Yeah, so there's actually then a lot of ground to try and cover between now and February 9th. As I think one thing we really learned last year is that it takes more time than you think when you're working with the government, I'll tell you.
And then checking the location availability as well.
Right. So what do you think, what's your initial thinking then, Lisa? Do you want to push to March? Yes. Okay. So then that does give us more time. We don't have to decide anything tonight then. Okay, and then, so we've got Paint and Sip, Lisa and Carrie, and then Arts Festival. So Amanda, I would like to join you on that one.
Okay.
So I worked on that a lot this year, and so we can talk about that. But that's something that probably won't even come up for a few months.
I'll say I am getting already notifications to sign up for events.
See, that's interesting, and I think that's something we'll have to keep in mind. I mean, I think we can start talking with the parks sooner and say, hey, let's think more about this, and, because it was kind of a rush, actually,
Yeah.
last
Well-
year, too.
Most of the
cramming.
summer events, our applications are already out.
Is
Fall
that-
doesn't come, September, October isn't out quite yet. There's some of them that are still waiting, but
Wow.
yeah.
And another thing, so, because one of the things I'd like to talk to the Parks and Rec team about is, what if we moved it into a warmer month? And, because it was cold. And I think there's potential for something much bigger.
Yeah.
I think if you still keep it a fall frolic and move it into September, that's still fine. There's a big difference between September and October.
Yeah, when was it? It was October, right?
October 16th.
They have planned it and booked it for the 23rd of September this year.
Oh, really? Oh, that's it.
Fantastic.
Well, how about that? Okay.
Well, let's write that down, huh?
How does that seem to you, Amanda, as far as like having an outdoor thing? September, what did you say, 23rd?
23rd, yep.
I think that's fine.
Wow, that's good to know that it's already set for that date. Fall has just started, right? Hey, I like it. Okay, so how does that feel for everybody? So the idea here is then, when the next time we meet, if there are any updates on Project Snowy, that Stacy, C, and Amanda will share those updates with the rest of the group. Any updates on murals, Carrie, myself, and Lisa R. will share those, et cetera, et cetera. Does that sound okay? Help to try and kind of activate this stuff a little bit more? Okay. We can always fill in that Gantt chart off to the side when we want, but, you know, hey, I'm gonna fill in September for Arts Festival with Parks and Rec.
And was that just a one-day event?
It was, yeah. And, you know, we had lots of ideas when we were there at the last one, like, well, what if we did a 2-day thing? And if it was warmer out, what if we did this? But
So did you like the cold?
did not like,
I was at a wedding that day and it was horrible and it was outside. It was
I think part of it too is that I think it was kind of windy, wasn't it?
crisp, extremely crisp and windy.
And
Yeah.
we're right by the lake, Casey Lake, so like
Oh,
that
sure.
whole-
There's some events I've done, the same event year over year, and it's always on the same weekend. And like Stone Arch Bridge Festival, for example, this last year was like 95 degrees, 99. But then the year before was beautiful weather, right?
Yeah.
So it's Minnesota,
Yeah, I know. I wouldn't like it if it were really hot either, but,
yeah.
but I think that it might improve our chances being in late September. Okay, so this feels good. And so I think as we're going, you know, if you have any questions in between, I mean, you can always reach out with questions and we can, you know, try and deal with those things as we go. But I think these sub-teams should feel free to make some decisions, you know, as needed. Some of these smaller tactical decisions, things that need to happen to try and bring it forward. But I would also encourage you, so if you are, you know, whatever your project is, if you want to take a look at that Gantt chart, that's where it can be really helpful to just say, okay, for real, when do we think we could have this done by? And if we say, oh, well, we can, no problem, we'll have this done for the car show in June, it's like, okay, we'll realize that that time goes real fast. So what would it actually take to have that done? All right, well, I think we just knocked off items B, C, and D. Unless, did we want to review language on snowy flyer, C1? Stacy and C, do you want to, I know I looked at that when that was sent. Is this the current working flyer?
I believe so. I think, did Carrie look at it or
So she
Soren?
has not yet, because there was two different versions. I got a version from you and a version from C as well. So that's what is in here. So deciding on which one we'd rather go with, and it can consent to Carrie and Soren.
Oh, yeah.
So the version 2, just to be clear, is just like redoing the layout just for aesthetics. You know, but totally up to the group, the committee, the commission on which one you guys prefer.
Can we project any of these things up on the screen, or is it just in the packet? That's fine. I'm just trying to make sure, so I
I'll
have,
learn that before next meeting.
yeah, I have 3 pages.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, is this 3 separate versions, or is one of them a 2-pager?
I think the first one was the 2-pager that was originally designed.
Yeah, it
Okay.
says refer to back page.
And it was meant to be a 2-pager handout to solicit businesses. And C reworked it into a 1-pager based on
And that's this one, see?
we received.
Yeah, because, you know, we took out the levels,
Oh, there's a lot of blank spaces on that first 2-pager after the
Okay.
feedback was received.
So we should focus on this one?
So the question is, do you guys prefer that one? And then, is there any,
I think this looks great. I can't believe you got the thing from the parade on there and everything, and,
I know that Stacy had made a change in the text at the last meeting,
That should be included in this,
in this version?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
in the 2-pager, because I did it live and sent it to Sarah. Just because,
In the
That's how I
2-pager,
work.
did you say?
yep.
Well, it should be in this one then. In-
Oh, did that change not get reflected? What,
Probably not, because you made the change during the meeting.
what change are you referring to, Lisa?
I'd have to go back to the meeting minutes.
yeah, I think it's okay, Lisa. I think in the end, I think we just want to talk about this right here. This is the 1-pager, right?
I think the change you're referring to is the removal of sponsorship terminology, and I don't,
Change or no?
no, that would have been it, yep.
if it helps, I did go through, you know, like, what Stacy sent and just try to make sure that the language matched as best as possible. I might have like done a little bit more, you know, what is it? Making it shorter. Wow, I can't find words to.
You worked your
Yes,
magic.
Finessing the language.
That's it.
I love it. It looks great.
It does.
So, yeah, so taking it from the top, so brightening North St. Paul with personalized snowy sculptures. As a member of the North St. Paul community, we invite you to join this unique opportunity to promote your organization and to support the efforts of making enjoyable art exhibits available around town. Get a snowy, not sponsor, get one. $5,000. By being part of this project, you will show your city spirit, support the art community, contribute to the cityscape with art, yes. Project benefits, selection and input on Snowy's exterior design and artist, your name, logo permanently affixed to the statue's base, ownership of the statue placement at your location, or donated to the city for placement on city land. I like that it's mentioned here. North St. Paul Business Association and the City of North St. Paul will recognize this level of support through the following ways. Your name, logo, and link to your website displayed on Project Snowy webpage at northstpaul.org. Your business tagged on the city's social media channels acknowledging your support. Identified then as the city's press releases about the project. Featured in the city's e-news. Featured in city's channels when the statue is delivered. What is that?
mean?
Featured in cities' channels.
So isn't that like the news alerts and the newsletters and
Oh, okay.
Communication change.
just general, like a social media blast?
Do we want to maybe say featured in city communications
Sure.
when the statue is delivered? Recognized at a city council meeting? Are we okay with, is there any concern about that, do you think?
I think the only addition to the program might be the featuring your business and statue location for public, for a map for the public to go around and see, like a walking
right,
tour
there's-
map.
Yeah, like the kind of programming.
Yeah.
You know, like what is it, and so, yeah, I think that's,
I feel like that's the only part of this program that's missing, is that one little, like,
and I wonder if we could generalize that on the final bullet there, so potential for other news and publicity opportunities. I mean, I think you could call it encompassed in there. So in other news, publicity opportunities and programming, or something like that?
I feel like the business association needed a little bit more concrete examples than the last bullet.
What if you call it like a choose your own snowy tour? So you don't have to follow specific 1 snowy to 2 snowy to 3, but here's the list of snowies, make your own tour.
Yeah, and I think that's a fine idea. I think what we're trying to get at here, though, is how do we talk about that in a less specific way?
Sure.
So we have time to kind of flesh that out a little bit more, and because how exactly will it happen is to be determined. So, well, and I think maybe there's a question, should we review this, or has it already been reviewed with the Business Association?
The previous iteration of the first 2-pager flyer was shared with the business association, and that was the feedback that we took.
Okay,
And they were concerned about the cost and that it was, I don't think the programming spoke to a return on investment at the meeting that we attended. Am I misremembering that?
No.
Okay.
yeah, so whatever I mean, we also have to be careful on what we're promising here, because whatever we put on here, we have to deliver it then as well.
That's exactly what I was thinking too, Tom. Like, if we spell it out too much, then I don't know if.
Right. I mean, all of these things so far seem like, yep, pretty easy, doable, things we've talked about.
Other concerns were, where does it go when they own it, and how does it get moved? And the insurance liability, because our business association president is
Yeah.
insurance.
And so, and I wonder if we need to have a separate thing. So I think,
Release
I
of
really
liability
like,
or
I really like this as it is. I think there probably has to be something that's a little bit more legal schmiegel for all the details about this thing. It's, the stuff we talked about with, the mayor, city attorney, and the business association, that it's like, look, we will, because we talked about delivery, the insurers, or the city's insurers, they don't want us to touch them. And I'm like, well, I think we can take responsibility to deliver them at least,
Do you think I thought there was some discussion about the, like the company doing that delivery, or?
Oh, like the
And
business
then-
association finding a volunteer company to do that?
Yeah, they had discussed that as an option, and
Okay.
kind of what their role may be as kind of
Right.
coordination of that.
And I think this is something that would just, this has to go into the plan steps for the project, is define business association involvement. What exactly do we want them to do?
Do you think there should be a purchase agreement written out?
I think that's what we're getting at here, Lisa, is like the purchase agreement would say, here's what you're paying for, and here's everything that goes along with that, and here's your responsibility with the thing. Like, ideally, we want businesses to buy these things and put them in prominent locations that the public would see on a regular basis. And here's where we're gonna get into this in a little bit here on discussion about city code. But where our code is restrictive in some ways in that area, that's something that we are also willing to look at to try and amend those codes to create some allowance for this type of thing. You know, so that's another thing we have to, that's another bridge we have to cross. But that, you know, we'll work through that in time. So, so anyway, so I think I'd say let's go with, so this copy here, this second version, unless anybody's got anything else, or
I
if you
do.
feel it needs to, pardon?
I do.
You do? Okay.
I'm gonna ask about this city, being recognized at a city council meeting. We just talked about trying to get more people here. Should we have this be recognized at an Arts and Culture Commission meeting?
We could.
I mean, why are we giving the city council the benefits of all the hard work we've done?
I like that idea.
We're
We can
important
do
too,
both.
damn it.
Yeah, we can do both, yeah. I mean, I don't want to sell us short, but there are probably more people that watch the city council meetings than watch the Arts and Culture Commission meetings, but.
You just wait, we're gonna go viral, Tom.
Yeah,
We're gonna go viral.
with my mouth, it's bound to happen.
How is it not already? That's what
don't know,
I,
right? I don't know.
yeah.
Okay. Oh, I gotta tell you this. You know, I'm not on social media really, but I saw this video recently about this little like Australian kid or something talking about this goat out in the yard. Anybody seen this one?
I've seen that.
Yeah.
I too would
This
do a
little kid's like,
three-year-old.
it's a effing goat. And they're like, what? It's an effing goat outside. And they're like,
And
no,
it's-
it's just a goat.
She's probably like
No,
3 years
it's an
old at
effing
the
goat.
most.
And I think it's the funniest thing I've ever seen.
With the goats.
What? What?
Was it 2 goats or just one?
No, it was just one
just
goat
one.
standing out there, but the kid was
mother-
like, look at the effing goat.
The mother
And the mom
trying
was
to
like,
correct it,
what do you
like,
mean
"No,
the
it's a
effing goat? It's
No,
just a
it's
goat.
not-
And he's
no,
like,
it
no, it's an effing goat. And it's like, where did you come up with this? We love it when children swear. It's funny.
Hilarious.
Funny. Okay, so brought to you in partnership with the North St. Paul Business Association and the North St. Paul Arts and Cultures Commission. I would flip those.
Yeah.
We didn't to appease the business association's ego.
For real?
I 100% promise you that, yes. That we were trying to be good stewards of the business association in their lift.
And they wanted to have their name on top?
They didn't object to their name being on top.
Oh, well, okay.
Lisa?
I mean, I would say flip it and they're gonna review it anyway, so if they have an issue with.
I mean, look,
I mean-
to me, this was brought to you by the North St. Paul Arts and Culture Commission
Yeah.
in partnership with the Business Association. So, I mean, they're, but I don't think we should sell ourselves short on that. But otherwise, you know, I think it's good, and this is really just to, you know, solicit buyers. And then, so there would have to be an action item here, or a planned step, which is really to, we have to write up a purchase agreement or something, you know, what's that like?
Yeah, I think we should see if there's a template at the city for that,
Smart.
if that's okay.
And something that includes, here's your responsibility, here's our
Like a release, and a release of
Yeah.
liability
Yeah.
and indemnification and all those fun legal words.
Soren's input. or
For sure.
Absolutely.
by Brian Brandel.
So Stacy, C, and Amanda, that's one of the things that you could maybe push forward between now and February. All right, so we okay with that? Review language on snowy flyer? You feeling good there?
So let me ask, from here, does it go back to the Business Association for final review before it gets published, or?
So I think it could, I don't think it has to.
I think it has to be reviewed by the city one last time, but I think it should, in good faith, have the business association look at it.
Carrie has a
But
great
Carrie-
relationship
Yeah.
with them. so
And
she can-
Carrie's on the business association.
Oh, great.
So I think she's part of it.
No, she's not. She's our communications. So that's why she's there to represent the city.
Okay.
Great. Okay, so D, a discussion on active, oh, we did that one. E, public art code, something to explore. Sarah, do you want to help me set this one up? I mean, you and I communicated a little bit about this in the last couple weeks, but,
Yeah, no, absolutely. So Brandy, who I know you all met except Amanda, our community development director,
oh, yeah, right.
had brought this to my attention. And she had done some research on other cities that have public art code in their city ordinances, specifically referring to maintenance or placement of art, things of that nature. And she had suggested that we take a look at this and see if this is something that we would want to propose to add into our ordinances. And so I wanted to present it today, have you look it over, take some time to really think about it, and I can bring stuff back to Brandy as well.
So the idea is this would be a standalone code that's written in, so,
Correct.
okay, yeah.
And is it called Philadelphia Code because it's from Philadelphia?
This one in particular is from Philadelphia, yes.
Oh my God, that's cool.
What page is it in the packet?
17.
One of them starts on page 19 in the packet. And the other one is, let's see here, 17. So we have two different examples, Philadelphia and one in Michigan as well.
Are there any Minnesotan examples of this?
Or not. Not in my research that we could find in our, through American Legal.
I'm really excited about 2E, or I guess E.
Oh, the appeal is up.
To include it into development.
No, for development and the cost. Oh, sorry, in the Philadelphia Code, where they talk about 17? Yeah.
Oh, it's so true. When I visited Philadelphia, like the skyline, apparently, yes, all the buildings that are made, they have to have some kind of artistic thing to it. And so they, yeah.
Yeah. So this is, I know this came up with Soren.
Yeah, didn't we explore this and they said that we couldn't?
But it was, I don't think it's like you can funnel any percentage to the Arts Commission. I mean, it's one thing if you're saying your building itself must have some thing to it.
I think that's what this is saying.
You're right, I think that's what this is saying. It's that you will include some kind of art on the property, right? Versus, you know, it's not saying you're gonna donate this much money to the Arts and Culture Commission. Like, I think Parks and Rec, that's how it happens.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much that's funneled there, but that makes more sense. So I think another thing too is,
I like the Michigan parameters around, but yet it's not restrictive, and I don't see where we get into the legalities and the cost, like the Philadelphia one.
Yeah, and you know, the one thing about when you start to put this stuff down in words is that it can be sliced and diced forever. So, you know, I think one thing we should think about is it a good thing to have a standalone code on public art, or not such a good thing? You know, could we have like Project Snowy and our murals does that already fit into existing code? And so maybe that's a question for Brandy? Yeah. So, does our existing code allow for murals and public art? And if so, how is that stated in existing code? And is that sufficient for us? So I will just point to some of these things. Like if you look at the murals thing in Michigan, so on the top of page 19 in the packet, murals shall be maintained in good repair, free from peeling, paint, or damage due to age, weather, and vandalism. So you could say, well, define good repair. So is it just free from peeling, paint, or damage due to age, weather, or is somebody else going to be kind of monitoring and policing that?
And who's responsible for the repair?
Well, you're right, so if it's a private property, it would be that private property owner probably, but, and then B, you have murals shall not contain words in any language. So really? I mean, maybe we don't want to say that. Symbols or representations that are obscene, offensive, of a political nature, or are derogatory. Wow. So,
I think we could get into trouble on that.
well, yeah, well, because what's obscene, offensive, political, or derogatory to you might not be any of those things to me, or vice versa, right? But there's, freedom of expression and, what is art and all that, you get into some big questions.
Might be helpful also to refer to the state statute around this too. I think we kind of explored it a little bit when we were looking at the sign ordinance, and it kind of referred to public art as being exempted from signs, but there's probably a lot more language around that.
State statute did?
Yeah.
Yeah, if there is a state statute, maybe we would just follow that then, and not try to create our own.
With exploring.
Yeah, from my time on the planning commission, and Lisa spent time on the planning commission, you can really go round and round with the language. And that's what lawyers do, and do we want to get into that? So, I would lean towards being as minimalist in this area as possible without,
If there is a state statute, just adopt an
Yeah.
item that says the city of North St. Paul
Yeah,
follows the state
yeah.
statute, blah, 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 in accordance to art.
and I think we would have to anyway, right? I mean, you always have to follow the state. We can be, wait, what's the rule? We can be more restrictive, but not less restrictive? Yeah. So, so this is good stuff, and I think, I think another thing is when it comes to these codes, if you try and write it all out ahead of time, you can be at it forever. And you can really be picking a lot of this language apart. And sometime, and you'll be working on language for things that you may never encounter.
Yeah, I like to think as making policies, you don't want to make a policy unless it's an issue, because then you can potentially be restricting people's freedoms or rights.
Right. Yeah. So my recommendation would be as simple as we could make it as possible. And I think there's an opportunity there then for us. So I think this is going to come into play with Project Snowy. It's going to come into play with the mural project. And Carrie, I would be open to us with the mural project, taking that, look, how does that, and I think the question to Brandy is, let's take murals and Project Snowy as an example. Are we covered in code already? And, or what mention in code would encompass those things, or what would not? And if we're good already, then great. But if there is something else that we need to add, because my guess is that there's some language that already exists in there. So whether it's a mural or just the exterior paint on your building, if you're a business, there's probably something in there that you got to take care of that.
Yeah, for sure the painting, but the mural, anything specific to art, there was nothing in our current code.
Right, but could a mural fall under exterior paint?
It's a good question, I can ask her.
Because that's what it is, right?
Yep.
So, so something to think about, and Carrie, maybe with the mural project, that's something we could go forward to the planning commission and have a discussion about it.
Yeah.
I mean, Elaine, people on the planning commissions are real experts on that stuff, and they've been through these things.
She's not there anymore.
Oh, she retired? Oh, my gosh. I didn't know that. Well, Elaine, maybe we can send you an email and get your advice. Elaine is masterful in her grasp of the city code.
Okay, I'll just plan for next meeting, bringing back Brandy's answers.
Okay.
And if there's anything in Minnesota state code, I'll bring that to you.
Yeah, and I think, is everybody okay with that, to just try and keep this as simple as possible? If we've got language already, let's go with that. Let's not add unless we have to.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Okay. Decision made. All right. Now, next up was student commissioner application. Does this mean we have one?
Yay.
We have one.
We do, so I have included in the packet, her essay, her name is Cecilia, as well as her letter of recommendation. So today I'm hoping to, if you approve of that, I can bring that to city council and get final approval.
I know CC, so I feel like I should recuse myself or whatever.
No.
Do you know
but-
she was applying?
Yes, I asked her to apply.
I don't think you have to recuse yourself.
Okay. She's fantastic. She would be a great addition.
I read that in the letter of recommendation.
Mm-hmm.
And her last name sounds familiar.
I live on Helen? Dawn is her mom? Mhm. No.
So I'd like to make a motion to
Great.
accept her application.
So moved.
So you're making a motion
Or
to
second, I mean.
accept the application?
Not so moved, second. Sorry, I'm fighting a migraine.
What does that mean, to accept the application?
Bring her on board.
Oh, to bring her on board, okay. Yeah, I think it looks great.
So the next step then would be, after I spoke with Brandy, it's got to go to city council for final approval, and then she can come to our next meeting.
So even the council has to approve,
Yeah,
okay?
I don't foresee that being an issue.
Thanks, Lisa.
Really cracky, what? She's a warm and friendly young person, says Courtney Johnson, science teacher. Outgoing, talkative, and a positive attitude. She makes her a welcome addition to any group she is part of. So, well, CC sounds great. So we have a motion from Lisa and Stacy, you seconded. Any other discussion about having CC Garacki be our first student commissioner?
She is weirdly interested in government. She has been voluntarily going to school board meetings and just attending them.
That is pretty weird.
I don't know any other high school kid who does that
Just for the
on
fireworks?
just for fun.
She,
She just hangs out. She just sits there.
wow.
It's pretty impressive. So there's a career for her, and the fact that she's involved in the arts like she is, I think she'd be a really great addition to our
Sounds
group.
great.
So
All right, so all those in favor in adding Cece, do you say Garacki?
Mm-hmm.
Cece Garacki as our first student commissioner to the North St. Paul Arts and Culture Commission, say aye.
aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, Cece, if you're watching, we're gonna see you next month, I think, right? She's got to start showing up to these meetings, right?
Look at this, y'all, we're like setting future goals and hitting it in the first night.
I know, and she could
Boom.
join any of these subgroups too, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
She wouldn't count towards our open meeting law, right? She's a non-voting member,
What'd you say?
right?
She can get the word out.
Wow, oh man, we're just kicking it tonight. Is that what the kids say? Kicking it? I don't know. Kicking it, or does that mean relax or something? I don't know. What do they
I think
say,
that's
Sarah?
old
You're a
school,
young
Tom.
person.
I think they've moved on.
What?
I said, I think that's old school. I think they've moved on to something else. What
Yeah.
did you say it was?
Well, you know what I heard is spilling some tea, right? Is that what you say, Carrie?
Yep.
Like talking about the
Spill the
gossip
tea,
or the
sis.
drama?
Yep.
Spilling tea.
Tom was all excited. He's like, ooh, I learned this new term. Check it out. We're going to talk about spilling tea. And I'm like, that's why there's the Kermit picture where he's drinking tea. And Tom's like, what? I didn't know that's what that was. I'm sorry, Tom.
At least I know who Kermit is.
How about shooting biscuits?
What does that mean?
What's that?
That sounds terrible.
Hockey pucks.
Hockey pucks,
Oh.
Go shoot some biscuits.
oh.
Wow. We learn something new every day in this group.
Stacy had to go off microphone. All right, so, all right, hey, we're open to new ideas here. We're spilling the tea here at the ACC.
That's not what that means.
What?
That's not what that means.
Is that what it means? Spilling tea? Is it
It's
Gossip.
gossip.
gossip? We're not gossiping?
No.
Oh, we could.
I was freaked out.
We could spill some tea. What do you got? You got anything?
Not on camera.
All right. Hey, this is great. I feel good about what we're getting ourselves set up for.
Yes.
Old business, we're moving on, item 8. Anybody have any old business? I think we've kind of covered everything already,
Yeah.
unless anybody's got something else. Okay, reports from staff. Sarah,
Nothing that we haven't already discussed.
nothing we haven't already discussed. Excellent. Okay, reports from commissioners, and I am going to start down at this end with you. Lisa Ritchie, do you have anything?
I do not have anything to report.
Okay. Carrie?
I have no reports, but this was a great meeting. I feel very energized. I'm ready to rock. We're going to kick it.
It's not even 8:30 yet.
Not even 8:30.
Uh,
Thanks, Tom. This is great.
Good.
I had a lot of fun.
Stacy?
Nothing to report here.
C?
Just that I did submit that sip and paint thing for people to react to. And so I didn't know if folks had a chance to review it, but it sounds like Lisa R. did have a chance to look at the,
I did not.
okay. It's in the packet from
Yes, it is in the packet as well.
pages.
Oh, yes, I did look at
13.
that. I know what you're talking about now, the
Yeah.
time frame.
Yeah.
Oh.
The logistics of it, yes.
And so, just that it's there.
Thank you. That's an awesome start.
Why are you not on the paint and sip group then?
Yeah, right?
I am plenty busy,
Okay.
but I am happy to be a third if needed.
Okay, thank you.
This is you did this? This is incredible. See? Thank you.
Yeah. That's how my brain works.
I love it.
Once you start like identifying things, you just gotta identify everything.
Yeah. Customers, yeah.
Yes.
Like who is, who will be allowed? Any age? Certain ages?
Good questions.
I'm open to any age. What is,
All right.
Yeah, and I know, Tom, you said, and you know, like with Lisa's March projected date of doing this, you know, like I don't know if looking at the potential timeline, if, you know, making decisions in February might be a little too late. But I know with the subcommittee, you know, it might
It's
go a little
early
faster.
February, though. It's February 1, right?
So-
That's our next meeting.
Yeah.
So that'll be at least.
Yeah, so I just wasn't sure if there was like things that the whole group needed to make a decision on, or if it was just, or if this.
well, it's my understanding that we should be able to make a plan and then present it, and if the commission is opposed to anything, they'll let us know before
Right.
we actually move forward with that.
Agreed.
Commission or the council? Who?
Commission.
Commit-
Us.
For the sip and point, I'll present to you my plan.
Yeah.
Will happen in March at the February meeting. And if for any reason you guys don't approve of what I'm presenting, you would let me know, and then I would make that change before I actually.
Yeah, see, this, I didn't realize that you had put all this together. This is fantastic. Are you the project manager?
Somewhat, an innovation consultant.
Yeah.
Whoa,
A nice title.
yeah.
This is excellent organization. So, but that's something that, Lisa, you can work through between now and the next meeting, and then, well, you and Carrie maybe then? Okay,
We're on it.
that's great, see. Anything else, see?
That's all.
Okay. Amanda?
Happy to be here.
Happy to be here. Happy to have you here. Great.
Yeah.
And,
You have something else to add?
Yes.
What?
You know, I know Amanda introduced herself. I didn't, I realized that we didn't introduce.
We should probably introduce ourselves too.
You're so
I
right.
think I got the names down
I'm
now.
so, I'm so bad with
late.
that kind of stuff. Yeah. You want to introduce yourself to Amanda?
Hi, Amanda. I'm C. I've been part of this commission since last April-ish, so one of the newer commissioners.
Hi, Amanda. We met in your interview,
Yes.
but Lisa Wong, I'm the council member. And yeah, looking forward to having you on here.
And I'm Tom. I was just reelected as chair of the commission. I had no idea I was running again.
Hi, Amanda. I'm Stacy. I've been here since the beginning, and I've lived in North St. Paul since 2016, so probably a similar timeline as you. And I have a junior in high school. And welcome. It's good to have you.
Hi, I'm Carrie. I live in North St. Paul. I've been here for too long, and I have an 8th grader at John Glenn Middle School.
And as you know, I'm Lisa, and we figured out that we're neighbors. I worked for the city of North St. Paul up until just I started my new position in November. So I have been involved in this commission as well as a few others. And back in, I think it was 2010, maybe even before that, I was on the arts and it wasn't culture, it was the arts, it was the arts council. Yeah.
Yeah,
it was
Arts
a-
Council, yeah.
And the form of it was different from what this is. But I was involved many years ago as well and thoroughly love everything about it.
Nice.
Do you have, I'm sorry, do you have children, Amanda?
I do.
You-
I have a 8-year-old and a 6-year-old.
Okay. And do they go to Cowan?
Yes, they do.
Oh, excellent. Well, my kids went to Cowan, it was great. Great teachers there.
And
Okay.
Sarah, don't forget Sarah.
Oh, and Sarah, yeah.
Hi. I'm Sarah. I also live in North St. Paul, moved here a couple years ago, and now I work for North St. Paul. Started in late September as an admin in the community development area here, and happy to be the secretary for this group. It's a fun
Not a
group.
bad commute.
No.
Yeah, and yeah, so Sarah's kind of new to us, so we're still not sure what to make of her.
You won't know after 10 years. You're good.
Yeah,
You just got to
I'm
kick
kind of an oddball.
so we're kicking it with Sarah, see how it goes.
Kicking it, yes.
Spill the tea, Tom.
Yeah.
Is there another, we gotta come up, there's
Darn, I
gotta
have
be
to go
another
shoot some
term.
biscuits now.
It's like dropping your kids off at the pond.
I know, I'm like, wait a minute, what?
Dropping your kids off at the pond, I thought that was a euphemism.
It is.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Reports from council liaison.
Yeah, so we swore in a new mayor, John Monge,
Yes.
and a new council member, Cassidy Schweer, and a new council member, Jason Norby. Mayor John Monge will sit on the EDA and the HRA. The EDA is the Economic Development Authority, and the HRA is the Housing Redevelopment Authority. And then Cassidy sits on the Parks and Rec. She also has a background in Parks and Rec, so I think it's a good fit. And then Jason will take on Planning Commission as the council liaison there. And I will be here with the
Yay!
Oh, Tim will also be on the EDA. Well, I mean,
Oh.
I was just mostly talking about the new folks.
Oh, okay, but he was on Parks and Rec.
Yeah, he was on Parks and Rec and some of the Silver Lake Association, some of the watershed.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. Sorry, Tim. I believe that it's possible that Soren will be here to discuss some open meeting laws and other legality things for this team.
We didn't do anything.
Procedural.
I think it's an annual.
Yeah.
Oh, got
A
it.
yeah.
Just preemptive.
It's not just you, it's like the other commissions as well.
One bad
So, and
apple.
actually, it may not be this meeting. I think last year they hosted a separate meeting and then the chair and co-chair went to it. But maybe they're changing it.
Yeah, I'm not
I
sure.
rescind my offer to be co-chair.
I am not sure how that will go, but I
we'll
would
get it.
anticipate that that would be something that's going to happen. There are commission vacancies on the Parks and Rec, on Planning, and the Economic Development Authority. So if you know any residents, there are several openings. This is the only commission that I know that is fully.
Can I ask who's not on the EDA anymore?
Sarah, do you know?
Just curious.
I can't remember right now, but yeah. And we've been meeting, me and Tim Cole and our consultants and the city manager have been meeting about the community center. So right now we're looking at, and also Community Development Director Brandy Howe, putting together a packet to propose to the legislator, since we have a nice surplus, and so we're hoping that will come back favorable. So we're just kind of looking at what that might be, but rehabbing it, perhaps some solar, EV charging, just some of the priorities that legislators also have. And then their next, excuse me, I had mentioned this previously, but the community engagement piece with some of the local organizations, they'll be kind of seeking that out. The Lilly Building, so it also used to be a former gas station, and so there was a grant awarded from DEED to do environmental investigation and remediation. So they received money for
So that helps
that.
with the development then?
It
the-
does.
Yes, great.
Absolutely. My understanding is the outdoor seating is coming this spring and summer. There is a meeting with some of the owners in the community. So I think we're very much looking forward to that. January 27th is the Polar Plunge at White Bear Lake. The police department and the fire department are participating for Special Olympics, and I mean, I did it last year with them. It was fun. So if you all are interested, I would encourage you all.
I've done it 4 times. It's fun.
Was it cold?
It wasn't that bad.
It feels like your body is being stabbed by about 10,000 needles for only 5 seconds, and then it's done.
Sign me up.
That's the most realistic depiction I can give it, but it's survivable, and the cause is so powerful and beautiful and amazing that it doesn't even matter. Sorry.
No, you don't need to apologize. That's a great event, and I just want to thank this commission. It's an incredibly efficient and effective. I think you've all gotten a lot done, and it's been really great to see this kind of unfold and seeing the fruits of your labor start to come about.
Thank you, it's good to hear that. And I'm hoping that we can really knock it out of the park this year. We have a lot on our plates, and I think we can get it all done. I had one question for you, Lisa, and that is, there's been so much infrastructure money being thrown around and talked about because from the federal government, the infrastructure bill, and have you heard any more discussion about the 36 and 120 intersection?
I have not.
Okay.
Yeah, I do believe they're looking for representation from an elected official. That's all I've, been, what I've heard from city manager, but we're not quite sure who that will be yet.
Okay.
But my understanding is that, they're still looking at that project.
That's it. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, is that the right word?
Yeah, there you go.
So moved.
Oh, we have a
sorry.
second from Steve. What?
I wasn't paying attention.
What?
We're trying to get Amanda to do it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'll jump in next time.
There you go. All right, so
plenty
we
of
have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, meeting is adjourned at 8:32.